From the reading, I saw sexuality as something that's learned through what we see in society and that it's not just biological. To me, this means that sexuality is how we form our identities and how others view us. This is because we learn from sexual scripts based off cultural norms. Sexual behavior also is given different expectations and stereotypes based off other groups, specifically gender, race, and ethnic groups. More fluid identities are also just one of the ways that we see these diverse sexual identities today. An example I found helpful from the reading is how sexuality is constructed through these scripts that show people how to act sexually from their environment instead of natural instinct. The reading also made note of how race and class can change sexuality, and that heterosexuality was historically normalized and homosexuality was institutionally normalized. For me personally, I think it's obvious that sexuality is expressed much more today than in the past, as people are more open to expressing their identities, especially online. There's also a greater acceptance of different identities as people don't feel as pressured to be confined to a strict label as they might have in earlier generations. Next, I'll talk about sexual fluidity from Budnick's research. I interpreted Budnick's definition of sexual fluidity as sexuality that can change across time and depending on the circumstance, meaning that it isn't fixed. Their research was heavily focused on how same-gender experiences only happen on college campuses. It also focused on how working women and young mothers experienced fluidity differently. This points back to how fluidity can change over time. Some evidence I found from the reading was how women outside elite universities reported high rates of same-gender experiences, and also how motherhood and relationships with men can put its limits on how women are labeled. I also found it interesting how they included that many women avoid the label queer because of how the term is viewed in their community. For me personally, since I'm dual enrolled and not on campus as much as a full-time student, I don't see as much of the campus culture that Budnick described. But even of what I do see, people still express signs of fluidity, especially online or when talking with friends. I also think because of how large the campus is, that there's a mix of students who feel comfortable exploring sexuality and others who aren't as expressive because of their social status or circle. I think overall that Budnick's research is applicable to most individuals, but it can look different depending on how students express themselves.